Hello, my name is Deborah, and I'm a leader with the Sisterhood of the Rose Planetary Network. Today, I have the pleasure to speak again with Cobra, who is the chief intel provider for the resistance movement, where he offers important planetary and galactic information at his blog, 2012portal.blogspot.com. Welcome, Cobra, and thank you so much for doing this interview.
It's a pleasure to do this interview again after 1 year.
Yes, it has been a year, and what a year it's been. So we will be talking about that. But we'd like to start with talking about a very important event that we have coming up on the December 21st solstice, and that is our Divine Intervention activation. We will be doing this activation as a two-step process, and we will be doing a global mass meditation at 4 p.m. UTC on December 21st, and the second step is also signing the Planetary Liberation Petition, and we'll discuss that in a moment. This two-step trigger will have the maximum effect on the planetary situation possible. The intent for this mass meditation is to co-create the trigger that will start the process of first contact with benevolent galactic beings and divine intervention. Let's start by discussing divine intervention. In this meditation, we are asking the source to directly intervene into the situation on Earth to trigger an intense healing transformation of humanity and for light to transmute all remaining darkness on Earth. So, Cobra, what would divine intervention look like? I mean, in essence, are we asking the source to trigger the event, or at least the start of the event?
In a way, yes, we are asking the source to directly intervene in the situation on the planet in a way that is most beneficial at this particular moment. And of course, the final consequence will be the event, but we are asking for the intervention to happen now as much as it's possible in the best possible way for the current situation.
Okay. And if we reach critical mass, what intervention will occur? I mean, and when will this happen? Is it possible this intervention would transmute all remaining darkness on Earth?
This is not likely at this point. We are not there yet, but definitely it will increase the process. It will accelerate the process, and will be a big step towards the final completion.
Okay, good. And what is so special about this December 21st meditation and also this December 2021 solstice?
Solstice every year is a very powerful moment, and this year certain things are converging. I will not disclose them yet. I will disclose them just before the activation, but there are certain potentially important things happening that are planned for that time that are converging on that date, and we're using that day as a trigger to make those things possible.
Boy, we look forward to hearing about what that will be. Now let's talk about first contact with benevolent galactic beings. You've stated that the benevolent citizens in our galaxy would like humanity to join the galactic family, but they need a clear, strong, coherent signal from the surface population that contact is desired. So why is this signal necessary? I mean, don't they already know how much we need their help and would like to be a part of the galactic family?
Okay, this planet has, I would say, about 8 billion inhabitants on the surface, and a very tiny percentage of those inhabitants of the surface are having any interest, have stated any interest for connection, for dialogue with the galactic community. And that signal was simply too weak compared to other signals coming from the surface of the planet, and that's why they need more coherency, more clarity about this. And if our signal reaches the critical mass, it will be strong enough that it will be taken seriously, because they need to take into account all the humanity on the surface. If there are just a few people mildly wishing for some kind of a contact, that's not enough. It needs to be a clear intention, the first step towards galactic dialogue. And this is what we are achieving with this meditation and with this petition.
Oh, that's interesting. You know, that makes sense, because the collective is, as we know, quite asleep, and I'm sure that we are sending them a very mixed message on what we want for the planet. How is it that we are not already a member of the Galactic family? Have we not yet been accepted into the Galactic family because of all of the anomaly and darkness on Earth? Or is it because we've never sent out a cohesive signal, like you just said?
Okay, that signal is just the first step. To really be a part of the Galactic family, you need to learn to behave like a part of the family, which humanity clearly hasn't done yet. Mm-hmm. So this will be just the first step. And to be even considered to be accepted, it will be a process. It will be a certain procedure, a certain protocol. And this is the first step in that protocol. I would say this is the first moment of galactic diplomacy between the surface of the planet and the galactic society.
So do we need to be completely free of darkness before we can join the Galactic family?
To be officially accepted, yes. And this is going to be achieved through the process of the event.
Yes. Okay. What would it be like to be a part of this Galactic family? I mean, what would that look like? Would we see more evidence in our skies of ET craft? Will they appear on Earth? Will the telepathic fields open up more between us and them? What does that look like?
Humanity will have first contact before it will be accepted as an equal part of the galactic society. So first contact, divine intervention, the event, all those things will happen before. We are reaching beyond the event with its activation, actually. We're reaching to the point of really becoming part of the galactic family, which is even more. And obviously, this will be a very pleasant experience because finally, this planet will be, at that point, this planet will no longer be a planet of darkness. And obviously, that is something that is much better than the state of affairs right now on the surface of the planet.
Yes, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So when we talk of first contact, we think of galactic beings visiting us from space, but does first contact also include benevolent beings underground, like the Agarthians in the resistance movement coming to the surface?
Yes, but this part is still classified. We're focusing now more on that, I would say, the galactic part, beings coming in the ships. First, the Pleiadians contacting certain selected individuals and then spreading this further. So this is what our focus is with this right now.
Okay. And you stated that if we reach critical mass of 144,000 people during the meditation, it will have far-reaching exopolitical and geopolitical consequences. So can you elaborate on those consequences?
Okay, first I will focus on the petition. If this petition reaches that number of signatures, it will be considered by the galactic forces that we have represented a significant part of humanity that wishes to initiate contact. And by the galactic law, they are required to respond. So they will respond in a certain way. How they will respond and how this will be communicated is not yet to be revealed, but there will be a response. And that response might not be public at first because that will not be safe, but there will be a certain process initialized. And once that process is started, it cannot be stopped anymore. It cannot be reversed. So it will be something that will be put in motion, it will be set in motion, and it will keep on going.
Okay. And I would like to talk to you more about that petition in a moment too. But getting back to the meditation, what exactly are we meditating for with this meditation? Is this for, you said certain people would be contacted by the Pleiadians. So is this for individual contact for certain people or for planetary contact like a mass landing? And which would happen first?
It's for both. Actually, after certain selected individuals will be contacted, they will speak about their experience. It will be a chain reaction will be triggered, which will lead at some point to massive sightings of the galactic fleet, massive reporting of this in the media, all interwoven with the event and with the full disclosure process. So these are all elements of the same process that are happening in a certain particular sequence.
Okay. And do you have an idea of who those people are that would be contacted? I know a lot of people are probably wondering who those people are and if it might be them. I mean, is it anyone that makes these decrees would be either physically or telepathically contacted if they're open to it, or are there specific people that the light forces have selected to?
There is a certain protocol called the Galactic Dish protocol, which I have published on a blog years ago, and people who are participating in that project will be among the first to be contacted because they have private land, which is from a legal standpoint much easier for a small ship to land on a private land. And that physical contact can be made without interference. This will be the easiest to manifest as soon as possible. As soon as it's safe, this will be done. Of course, many people will have telepathic contact. There will be people who will be having spiritual experiences, visions, visitations in dreams, but now we're speaking more about real physical contact. With evidence, people will be able to take photos, people will be able to record video. All this will be at some point distributed through the media.
Okay. And is it possible that this could happen before the event?
Yes, it's possible. The exact sequence is not yet to be disclosed at this point for obvious reasons, for the strategic reasons, because there are many beings that are listening to this that are not really welcome to listen to this and have some agendas that are not in alignment with the divine plan. But I would say that people will be contacted before the event, in the final phase before the event.
Okay. And what about people that don't own land? Are they eliminated from any kind of physical contact?
No, they will not be eliminated, but it's a little bit more difficult to arrange something for them. It is possible to arrange something for them while they're walking in nature on public land, but it's not that easy. So that will happen also, but it is easier to manifest physical contact for those who own land, just for practical and legal reasons. Everything needs to be done correctly.
Right. Okay.
And to minimize interference from the dark forces, that's the main reason. So safety is number one priority. People that will be contacted need to remain safe.
Yes, of course. But I was thinking of that, like what if you were, a person was walking in nature someplace, and if that would maybe be an option. So.
That is an option, yes. As soon as it will be safe and as soon as it will be convenient, that will happen.
Okay, and what would make it safe?
It means that the cabal will lose enough power. It means a location where that particular person will be walking will be easily accessible from the orbit for example, for the Palladian craft. It needs to be positioned that is not too close to military bases. It needs to be a position which is in a favorable position, not to be overly detected from the ground. There are many factors involved.
I see. Okay, so they might have to be pretty far out in nature, privately.
Yeah, this is different from case to case. There are many other factors involved, but I would say also the consciousness of the recipient is a major factor. Attachment of that person to other persons, the social network of that person. There are many reasons, many different factors which are determining who will be contacted, when, and how.
What would you suggest on how we prepare ourselves for that possible contact?
I would say people to read the Contact Dish Protocol, my blog, and everything is written there.
Okay. I just wonder if, because you were talking about our social network and the consciousness of that person.
I would not go further into this at this point.
Okay. Probably just, the higher our vibration is, and the more we work on ourselves, and cleaning our energy fields probably would help with all of that, I'm sure.
Definitely. The Pleiadians have a priority list, and they will contact people who are the most conscious and who will be safe enough to go through that contact without any interference from the dark. So there are two main factors at this point.
Very good to know. So there's been a little bit of confusion about what this whole activation is about. Is it like a final plea? I mean, are we calling this in because the light forces have realized that the dark are more powerful than expected and that we are running out of time, that we need extra help? I mean, we know that liberation of Earth is 100% required, as the Galactic Codex clearly mandates this. But are we doing this activation because we are at the stage where things need to be done faster and dramatic action is required?
Okay, this is not done from a position of desperation. It's done from a position of power. It means that finally the consciousness of the surface population is ready to reach the critical mass with this. This petition, for example, was created 8 years ago, and the numbers reached that time were about 20,000 people. We have already gathered 5 times that amount right now, up until this point. So we can see that the situation now in 8 years has developed to a point where we can actually realistically reach that critical mass and set this process in motion. So this is why we're doing this now. It's a perfect moment. It's the first time when it's realistically possible to achieve this.
That is a very inspiring and optimistic way of looking at this. And so I'm so glad to hear that you say that. That's great news. We need extraterrestrials to bring in the new Earth? I mean, is there any chance we could do this ourselves, or do we really need their assistance?
It's not so much. It's again, there are two one-sided perspectives on this planet. The one is that we need to do everything on our own, and the other one, we are helpless and we are powerless and we need external help. Actually, what is necessary here is partnership. Partnership between the surface population and the galactic races, and this is the way it is done all over the galaxy. This is the way it has to be done here to be successful. We have one necessary essential element to the liberation, and they have the other one, and only together we can make this possible. So this is why this partnership is necessary, to empower each other and to make this liberation possible. We're creating a bridge between the surface of the planet and the heaven, and this bridge will trigger the event. It will assist in the process, and it will defeat darkness.
Yes, together is very, very powerful. We could learn from that here on planet Earth about working together. So let's talk about the power of putting our consciousness together through the mass meditations. We have reached before a critical mass of 144,000 people. We've even reached 1 million before. But we haven't really seen many results in the physical, and that has been discouraging for some people. Can you explain how these meditations have helped in ways that we may not see with our physical eyes? And I know you've explained this before, but it really feels like people need to hear this again.
Okay, people sometimes have expectations that are not based in reality. People are expecting that one meditation, a few minutes of one strong meditation can transmute all darkness on planet Earth, which was accumulating here for thousands of years. That, of course, is not possible. Real physical change that will be visible, evident, and this is what people are expecting, will only happen the last few weeks before the event. Nothing will be really visible months before the event. The only time when people will really begin to notice change is few weeks before the event. So no matter how many meditations we do before that particular moment, there will be no really strongly visible external changes. What will change, what does change with every meditation, is we empower the positive timeline and we prevent many negative things from happening. Without our meditations, we would not be having this conversation right now. Maybe this surface of the planet would already have been destroyed. So we have averted so many negative scenarios. We have averted so many wars. We have attempted to create a war in Syria, in Iraq, in Iran, in Israel, in Ukraine, you name it, so many times over, and never succeeded. Though the only time they succeeded was with this pandemic, and the only reason why they succeeded with this pandemic, or I would say the main reason why they succeeded with this pandemic, was that the key light workers on the planet have made crucial, stupid, and egoistic mistakes in 2018, in 2019. That could all be prevented. It was not necessary. This pandemic is completely unnecessary. This whole drama could be avoided. But I would say that many other things have been avoided with our meditations, and as much as there was manifested, it helped a lot. Many things could have been much worse than are now. It's a complete miracle that we are not living in a completely totalitarian New World Order regime right now. There are elements of it, yes, but we are not there. We are not living in concentration camps. So it's a complete miracle that we are not there. If we compare what the Dark Forces are doing, how much energy they put into this, and the state of humanity on the surface of the planet, we have been extremely successful if we see how these things could have turned out.
Wow, that just demonstrates the power that lightworkers do have be on their game, and also
much more than people realize. Much more than people realize.
Wow, and then that alone is a wake-up call, I think, for many. I'm so glad that you said that. Yeah. It also shows the power of mass meditation too. So, will it help to? I want to ask, will it help to do the meditation daily before the big global one on December 21st? Does it have any impact in building up energies and making?
Oh yes, of course. It will help building up the energy. Of course, you're invited to the meditation anytime you want, every day. If that's your guidance, that's perfect.
Okay, and we know with these mass meditations, the more people that participate, the more impactful it will be. So it is important that people promote this one as much as possible, especially what you've shared with us about what this could, results we could see from it. But the intention for this one, with calling in first contact of galactic beings, isn't really for anyone. Many unawakened people would find this either silly or frightening. So how can we bring in more mainstream folks to increase our numbers? Is it by focusing on the divine intervention aspect of it, or what do you think?
Well, you need to use your guidance. So who you share this with, what your wording is. But I would say I have made a public call to few figures out there who are actually, in a way, working on this, promoting first contact in a certain way, and they have not responded. So I would simply say I don't understand this. We are trying to create something really beautiful, something really important, and there is simply no interest. So you see the galactic force observing all this. And this is why they have reservations. There is simply not enough unity. Everybody's having their little garden, their little group of followers and doing their own thing, and which is understandable from the galactic perspective, as much as they understand human psychology, but they cannot take things seriously if this is all they see, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is a time for people to, I guess, put their egos aside and have unity in the community and gather together to really help this planet. And because there is power in numbers, so we send out a call to everyone to share this with your followers, share this on your social network, share it with your family and friends. We do need, it would be great if we could get as many people as possible, especially those with large followings, to.
Yes, I'm not speaking to convert anybody or to try to convince people who are not open to this, but there are people who are already working on this on some level in a certain way. And those are the people who would need to participate in any way, because this is not my own little personal idea. It's part of the global plan for humanity.
Yes.
And anybody else could start this bending point. They didn't. So this could be started, at any point in the last 50 or 60 years, because people know about extraterrestrial races. There are many books and videos and movies about this for the last few decades already out there. And this could be initiated at any point, but it wasn't. So the time is now, and now it's time for us to really get our act together and do this.
Yes, 100%. Let's talk a little bit more about the petition, because it is very important, because I just would like people to have a really clear understanding about why we're doing this. They're like, why is it? It seems a little bit silly to create a petition to talk to galactic beings. But you mentioned an energetic bridge that this will create. Could you speak more about that and how this will speed up the process of liberation?
Okay, this is actually a legal document. We are signing a legal document. We are creating a declaration of our unified will. And if this declaration is strong enough, the galactic forces will take this seriously. You see, they can read the minds of people, and they can see all the conflicting thoughts in their people's minds. On one way, people would like to have intervention. On other ways, they are angry at the light forces, and then they're afraid, and then they doubt that any of this even exists, and there is no proof. And all those mixed thoughts create a very mixed signal. And they need something very clear and very coherent to respond to. Okay. And it needs to be a physical action. It needs to be a physical document. It needs to be a physical process. You need to sit down at your computer and sign the petition. Because you want intervention on the physical plane. And it's of manifestation. If you want physical action, you need to take physical action.
That makes sense.
And this is creating a bridge between higher dimensions and the physical plane. It creates a network. It creates a bridge also between the surface of the planet and all those locations in the orbit where the ships are.
Okay. Yeah, that makes great sense. And so you mentioned earlier that it was initially launched in about 8 years ago in 2013. So why is it so important now that we reach the critical mass on it? And what happens if we don't have 144,000 signatures by the time?
It was always important to reach the critical mass, but it was not realistic. If I would start this 2 years ago, it would not happen. But right now, we have the first real chance to do it.
Okay.
And we will reach the critical mass. I'm not talking about the possibility that we are not going to reach the critical mass. So we are going to reach the critical mass.
Yes, we definitely are. What happens if someone signed it years ago, but they can't recall if they did? Should they sign it again now, just to be sure?
So I made instructions very clear. You sign only once.
Okay. And would you just speak a little bit more about how having critical mass on this petition will magnify the effect of the meditation that we're doing?
It will actually be the first real step towards what we are manifesting in this meditation. So when the critical mass in the petition is reached, this will, as I said before, set a certain legal and exopolitical process. There will be a certain dialogue created. The Galactic Councils will meet, they will make decisions, they will initialize certain action. That will involve, in a certain way, also the surface of the planet. It will speed up the contact process. Things will be set in motion, and what we're realizing this is exactly that. So this petition will accelerate the timeline towards the contact. Galactic fleet will be authorized to be more active in the lower orbit and towards the surface. There are even actions on the surface. I cannot disclose more right now, but I would say that certain things will be sped up. They will be accelerated. The Galactic fleet will have more authority to do more than they had before. It will be easier for them they will have a stronger hand against the cabal, so they will be authorized to do more. Because they will know we want the bad guys to be gone. Not just in some confusing thoughts full of revenge and powerless, but with clear intent, which is much more powerful.
Yes, absolutely. And I just have to share this. I just got confirmation that we will reach the 144,000. I looked down and I glanced down and it was 144 where I am. So that's a very powerful message. So we look forward to that. Let's move on to talking a little bit about the galactic situation. You said in a recent post how the light forces are creating a Dyson sphere around the sun and around the Earth in order to temper the strength of the galactic pulse that will come from the galactic central sun in the near future. And we love those words, in the near future. We are looking at this as good news, that this is for preparation for the powerful incoming galactic energies of the event. And the question is, are these Dyson spheres needed so that we don't end up like Atlantis? Were they used when the pulse hit the Earth at the time of Atlantis? And have they been used on other planets that went through what we're about to go through?
Those Dyson spheres are used regularly when plant goes through a phase transition like this. Every time the sun goes a mini-nova and when the conditions are correct, the planets which inhabited life are protected against excess radiation because strong solar pulse always creates so much radiation that it might not be so easy to survive it. So this Dyson sphere will filter out certain frequencies, it will regulate certain frequencies so that whatever we go through, we survive the process intact.
Can you give us any insight into the technology that will create these spheres, and will they be visible to us in any way?
Okay, actually, they are not spheres; they are just called spheres. It's this is actually certain huge motherships put into certain sacred geometry position around the Earth and around the Sun that create a quantum force field that filters out frequencies. They will be cloaked; they will not be visible.
I see. Okay.
They might be visible at the moment of the polar shift and the final evacuation, but not before.
Okay. And have the life forces started this project, and how long does it take to align their ships?
I would say they're in early initial phases of creating this. When the conditions in the solar system are correct, this can be done pretty fast, but conditions are not quite ready yet. But I would say they're in the initial phases of building this.
Okay, so yeah, let's get an update on the conditions. So since much of the non-physical planes have been cleared, what's left to clear that is actually sustaining the power base of the dark forces still at this point?
Well, I will not give any updates upon this before the meditation and the petition process is completed.
Okay. But we can get something afterwards.
Yes, there will be an update after that at a certain point.
Okay, good. Are you able to give us an update on the progress of the toplet bombs? Are they still the greatest obstacle?
Yes, they are still the greatest obstacle, yes.
Okay. Has there been any progress made on?
There is progress ongoing, but this is a very tough subject. I mean, this has been really tough, clearing those toplet bombs. It's a challenge. Okay. But there's progress being made.
Okay. So can you tell us, how do the Pleiadians and other light forces know how to address these esoteric negative forces, such as the subquantum anomaly? Have they dealt with these type of things in the Pleiades or in their home planets?
They have been doing this for, I would say, even millions of years, but it was always a challenge because this is, in a way, very advanced. The dark forces are using advanced technology which uses those principles, and in a way, it's very chaotic. Primary anomaly is unpredictable. It's hard to study. It's hard to contain. It's hard to process. It's hard to clear. And I would say in the last few years, the progress of the light forces is much, much, much greater than it was ever in the past because they're learning key ingredients to this. Because this is simply the last few things to clear. Everything else has been resolved in the galaxy. So this is the toughest, the most challenging parts, and there is progress being made daily now.
Okay. Are you able to assure us that they will be able to clear this anomaly?
They will be, yes. The question is only how we get to the point of the end. I mean, we will get there. The road there is rough, but we're getting there slowly.
Yes. Can we talk about the central race? I know in one of our previous mass meditations, we got their attention. How are they involved with this now? And also, people are curious what they look like.
Yes, they are giving great assistance to the Galactic Confederation. They are giving great assistance with the Dyson spheres, with clearing of the solar system, with clearing of the primary anomaly, of subquantum anomaly, of the toplet bombs. They are working with all this, and they are giving a lot of assistance to the whole process.
Okay, good. And can you give us clues to what they look like?
It's hard to describe. They are very high-dimensional beings. They don't manifest in shape and form. They have never been in the physical, so they're like more energetic beings. They are not physical. They don't have a concrete shape. They could, of course, take any shape they wanted if they choose to manifest, but they have never done that.
That's exactly how I pictured them. Okay. Thank you for answering that. Let's talk to you a little bit about the implant. So you've stated that the implants are not quantumly entangled anymore and that the light forces have started with gradual clearing of these. And as you know, there's an international group of us that conduct free implant clearing sessions for light workers on an ongoing basis to help clear these. Can you tell us how these sessions are making an impact both for the people attending and on a collective level? Back in May, you stated, quantum fluctuations directly related to human implants and biochips are clearing better than expected. Space-time distortion created by the implants and biochips is thus being reduced fast and drastically, and this has resulted in a significant decrease of human emotion volatility in the last few weeks. So, Cobra, we are wondering if this confirms the effectiveness of these sessions, and are these sessions an important support for the light forces and planetary liberation?
Yes, those sessions have assisted quite much, and I would encourage everybody who's involved in those sessions, if they feel so right, to continue actually to expand those sessions, because this is a really helpful tool for the light sources to clear implants faster and more efficiently.
Okay, great. Thank you. I was going to ask if you felt that it was important that we continue these. Is there anything that we can do to add to these protocols to make them more effective and to accelerate the planetary liberation?
At this point, the protocols which are now in use are still okay. There might be an upgrade at some point after the meditation, or there might not be. We will see how things develop, but there is a possibility of a certain update.
Okay. And you've stated before that the only location where tablet bombs still remain is within the implants inside the energy field of human beings, where a black hole singularity exists. So by doing these exercises to help dissolve our implants, are we in essence assisting the light forces in dissolving the remaining tablet bombs?
We are assisting them. For them, it gets easier to access the toplet bombs. We are not dealing with the toplet bomb directly, it's simply too dangerous, but we are assisting the light forces to get better access to this and to approach this in a way that is safe and efficient.
Okay, good. We know that the implants cannot be fully removed until the event, but what are, for those people that attend on a regular basis, what are some of the benefits that they could experience? Are they actually dissolving their implant?
They are, what people can achieve is deprogramming, dissolution of limiting belief systems, liberation of consciousness. That can definitely be a result of this clearing process.
That's great.
And actually, people can gather their experiences and they can post it somewhere for inspiration, people who are working on this.
Oh, that's a good idea. Thank you. Yeah, and we will share that with our audience. So thank you. We've been asked before, are there also good implants?
Can you repeat that question?
Are there also good implants, positive ones?
I would not call them good implants, but there are certain races which are in the intermediate state of development that are putting implants with good intention for communication, for scanning, for healing. This was done a lot in Atlantis. It was done also on the ships of certain extraterrestrial races, but I would say this is outdated and old technology.
Okay. And I'd like to ask you a question about the Age of Aquarius. Last December solstice, we did a successful meditation and reached critical mass. And during our interview for that, you mentioned that if a critical mass was achieved, we might be able to see positive results within 1 to 2 months following. And of course, many people were expecting more utopian type results in 2021 rather than the chaos that has ensued. We understand that we do understand it in the dismantling of the matrix that some chaos is expected. Many are wondering how and when we will experience the energies of the Age of Aquarius. And I would like to point out a statement you made in August that said, after the purification of Regalian forces that invaded Earth in 1996 is over by mid to late October, it will be expectedly much easier to manifest the dreams of the Age of Aquarius on the surface of the planet. So, Cobra, could you elaborate on all of this, please? Will the age of Aquarius naturally happen collectively on its own in its own time, or do we each have to make a proactive, committed effort to manifest it for ourselves in our own individual life?
Okay, there are two factors involved here. The first one is there is simply more darkness than anybody expected, and I expected, or the resistance movement expected, or the light forces expected. And the second factor is there is less cooperation and more egoism and more stupidity among the light workers than anybody expected. So those two factors combined have resulted in this process being less pleasant and more challenging than initially expected. So it is hard to determine how this will play out, but I would say the more people hold the light, the more people cooperate in a positive way, the more people develop and manifest common sense together with a spirit of cooperation, the easier our road will be. Of course, the dark forces will try to challenge that. This is their nature. This is a war, and of course, they want to win. They're in the war, and they will do whatever they can to win. They will not win, but they will do whatever they can to disturb this process. But if we manifest more unity, that will be a very powerful protection against that. So it's a matter of two forces interacting. On the positive side, we have those light workers who are cooperating and who are manifesting common sense. And on the other side, we have the dark forces that are already cooperating and that are using their strategy in a way that is much more efficient than I have seen among most of the light workers. And then we have the light forces clearing the exotic technologies, and they cannot intervene directly before the threat of exotic technologies is removed. So this is the situation now. And we have much power in our hands to make the rest of this journey easier.
Well, you said something very important in terms of our unity is what will offer us powerful protection against the dark. And so that is a note that we really do need to unite. So
yes, and of course, most people will not take me seriously, and they will still not cooperate, and we will have more mandates, more of the same until the breakthrough happens. This is most likely what will happen. I'm not very hopeful again. I have seen enough of human nature to see how people behave. But there will be a point when enough of this negative exotic technologies will be removed, and the light forces will make the breakthrough, and then, of course, this all will be over. It will not matter anymore. This will be a total game changer.
Well, I would like to talk to you about the current state of the planet. And, of course, the biggest topic everyone is talking about is the virus and all that's related to it. We would, as you said, the dark is quite more powerful than anyone expected. With this current timeline that we're on, are we headed to disaster? And if this is the case, can you tell us what is coming? What really is a probability that in our future we will experience a dystopian type society of military force injections, quarantine camps, food shortages, AI takeover, etc.?
We are not headed toward disaster. We are in a tug of war. We are now in a situation where both sides are equally powerful and are opposing the other. So the good guys are opposing all this, and the bad guys want to manifest this. And on one hand, we have a slow collapse of the society. On the other hand, we have a big awakening happening. People who haven't seen what's going on even a few months ago now are opening their eyes, and they see, and there is a massive positive non-compliance happening also at the same time. So we have a dynamic equilibrium between both dark and the light agendas here, which is both sides are quite powerful, and I expect this tension to continue until the breakthrough happens. At some point, there will be more of the dark appearing to win. At some point, there will be more of the light appearing to win. And this equilibrium, this strong opposing forces, in my expectations, will continue like this until the breakthrough. And of course, we are not going back into the old normal. This is not going to happen. This went too far. The old society has reached a point of no return in the summer of 2019 already. And this cannot be reversed. The only way is up. The only way is towards the event.
Okay. So really, how far we descend into this dystopian society really kind of depends on, you said that balance and the tipping of the scales to be more in favor of the light.
And people need to, if people get oppressed, they need to resist that oppression. I mean, peacefully, coherently, massively. If people say nothing, if people just comply, then it's easier for the dark forces to implement those measures.
Do you see more and more people waking up as time progresses and the light, the awakening building?
I can see more people coming to a realization that something is not right, something is going on. People are beginning to question things. Of course, the alternative media has been poisoned with so much disinformation. When people begin to read all those articles and look at all those videos, they get more confused. But at least they begin to question the official narrative. They begin to think. They begin to want to make their own choices, which is a very positive occurrence. It has never happened on such a massive scale before. This is the first time in human history. We have hundreds of millions, if not billions of people for the first time questioning the official story. This has never happened before.
Okay. In July, you stated that a consensus has been reached within the Confederation that a drastic intervention will take place at the right moment on the surface of the planet. Not much can be said about this at the moment, apart from the fact that if the cabal crosses a certain line, the intervention will come much sooner and it will be harsher. So is this the intervention that we are meditating for on December 21st? And has that line been crossed?
Okay, I would say the light forces did a mistake by issuing that statement and not understanding how life really is on the surface of the planet. They can have all the mathematical models of what is the tipping point, but for us on the surface, it's a different story. This is a real life. For them, it's just a graph on the wall, a graph on the screen, you know. So I would say that from the perspective of the surface population, the line has been crossed many times over. But they are dealing with the different scenarios. They're dealing with the different realities. They are dealing with preventing the explosion of the top-level bombs, keeping the planet intact in one piece without the surface being wiped out, and they are preventing those kinds of scenarios. So I would not try to even to speculate and guess where that line is, but I know it exists.
Do you have any idea how far they will let us go into that dystopian society before they take that dramatic action that they mentioned?
I don't want to comment on this. It's not something that I would like to,
Okay. Can you tell us what that action would be by them?
There are certain things that are classified I cannot talk about, but I would say certain things are being prepared, but I don't want to give unnecessary hope. I don't want to create more speculation that might lead to nothing productive.
Right. Okay, I understand. Obviously, people are feeling the tension, and we're all witnessing the panic and desperation of the dark. Would you say that, based on that representation you showed us of the nucleation phases, would you say that we are at the boiling point?
Yes, we are in the last phase before the breakthrough, before the maximum thermal flux, which is the event. So we are in that last phase, and the thermal flux is accelerating, which you can actually experience. That all that tension that is felt is actually more and more energy flowing, more and more, I would say, in terms of physics, more and more thermal flux occurring in the system. And it's increasing, and it will keep increasing until the event. So there will be more tension, more dynamic forces in play until something breaks, and that was the moment of the event.
Can you give us an idea of approximately how long we'll have to be in this boiling point? You say, hold on a little longer and withstand the siege?
Okay, I would say the common sense, the best, if you are in a situation like this, the common sense, the common strategic sense would be to keep holding the light no matter how long it takes, because if you let go right now, if you surrender right now to this chaos, then it's not going to be fine. You need to keep your focusing to keep your light ongoing, holding that tension, holding that consciousness, that focus until the breakthrough happens.
Okay. We do see the population there dividing into two. Those who can clearly see the intentions of the deception taking place and those who cannot see it for what it is. So if the event can't still happen for some time, what is the plan B of the light forces to help people who do not want to be a part of the world run by merciless cabal?
There is no plan B. This is now the Gamma timeline, which calls for direct intervention. Since a few years ago, we were on this Gamma timeline and this needs to happen. So there is no plan B. This needs to unravel until its final resolution.
And what did you say? It calls for what?
We are in this Gamma timeline. We need to keep on going until the intervention happens.
Okay. Understood.
Of course, it doesn't mean, people are waiting passively for the event. This is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you need to do whatever you can to make your life better, to manifest as good life as possible in the circumstances that they are right now. But the event is the final goal. We have been born for something greater. We have this higher purpose in mind as well. So both. This moment, life as good as possible, do your mission and live your life in a way that is aligned with your divine guidance.
Okay. And what about people that are speaking up? There's protests taking place all over the world to counteract the mandates and the lockdowns. Would you talk about these huge demonstrations and tell us how effective they are? Are they getting the attention of the politicians and people in power? And do these help the energy of the light forces?
Of course, the politicians are aware of all those demonstrations. Of course, they will ignore them. Of course, they will do nothing. They will pretend that nothing is happening because they want to keep their positions. They want to keep their power. But energetically speaking, the coherence of the field is rising. The power of human consciousness against this new world order takeover is rising. It's increasing in power until the breakthrough. So this is the counterforce which prevents all those negative scenarios like concentration camps and etc. from actually manifesting. It keeps them at bay.
Okay, good. Is it likely that we'll get to a point where there's a global revolution on such a grand scale that it would bring some of the negative elites to their knees before the event?
It's a possibility. As I said, it's a dynamic scenario with many rips and undercurrents, and anything is possible. There was one possibility for a major revolutionary current breaking through in September, which did not manifest, which is better because it was more peaceful. It could be quite violent, and we could not be having this conversation right now that would manifest. So if this revolutionary timeline manifests, it will be quite drastic, dynamic. It can have various outcomes. Some of them are pleasant, some of them are less pleasant. So we will see. It's impossible to predict. There are too many variables in this situation right now.
Mm-hmm. And we know that the light forces are doing whatever they can to make sure that the transition is as smooth as possible with the matrix collapsing. What can we do here on the surface of the planet to help with that?
Okay, I would again say common sense. Common sense is very much needed. Everybody is so emotionally polarized and so easily swept with this current negativity in one way or the other. So common sense is very much needed. And a spirit of cooperation, which has been almost completely lost. Like the surface population never really understood how it is to cooperate. But that is something that is completely natural in the rest of the universe of going to learn to cooperate. That's very important.
Right. So let's get back to what's going on right on the surface. Can we assume that the Delta option is no longer a possibility and that we're just going to go straight to the event, or is the Delta option actually taking place already?
No, the Delta option has been, it's still remotely possible, but not very likely. And it was not triggered because there were certain discussions to trigger this in January and February this year when there were certain occurrences taking place. But the key people who would need to be part of this operation have too many weaknesses, they were too compromised, and the light forces have decided not to initiate that for that particular reason.
Okay.
Some of those weaknesses of those people are being exposed right now as I speak. In certain circles, people might know what I'm talking about.
Interesting. You've said that the Great Reset proposed by the Cabal would not be successful, which is good news. That the new financial system would be fair to everyone. Would you share if the planned financial system has changed from what you told us a few years ago?
The basic plan is still the same. There might be some technical improvements because the world has changed a bit, but the basic plan is still the same.
Okay. And, as usual, there are people in the alternative media that say that mass arrests are happening, but you have stated many times that mass arrests will happen only at the time of the event.
It will happen at the time of the event, and it will be evidence. It will be in the mass media. It will not be on some obscure alternative websites without proof. It will be very much evident. It will be everywhere.
Okay. And you've also stated that the positive military will not move before all extraterrestrial and subterranean threats are removed and most exotic weapons are removed from the surface. Can you speak a little more about the update of the removal of these things, or is that what we're going to get after the activation on the 21st?
After the activation, because activation is changing certain things, and I would like to do an update after this is done.
Okay. And we are trusting that those changes will be very positive, and there will be very great news with that one. What about the seismic activity around the world that some are speculating are related to further activity in the DUMBs? Can you elaborate what may be happening? What we've been doing meditations for the hostages in the underground bases. What is the status of clearing these of both human and extraterrestrial hostages?
The process is ongoing. I would say vast majority of this case has been cleared already, but not all of it. So there is, compared to what was the situation last year, it's a huge progress.
Very good. So it looks like the meditations are helping.
Yes, very much so.
Very good. And some respected alternative news sources are saying that in the United States, there are hospitals that have whole sections that are closed. And in these areas of the hospitals, there are medbeds and that the risk of children.
Not true.
Not true. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. And you talked in the past how America is the new Atlantis, with support from Saint Germain in freeing America from the mind control and corruption that has been going on for about 150 years here. Why is the United States important in freeing the planet?
Yes, actually, Saint Germain has been very active more than 200 years ago in the United States to set a foundation for the new Atlantis, for the new society, and he was involved in the creation of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, and that is a very solid foundation. If used properly, could already bring the new society. But again, people are imperfect, so that's why it takes time. But the foundation is very solid, it's still there, and it has a huge potential in the coming years when things change.
And Saint Germain also has connections to France, because you mentioned that the United States and France are really central to planetary liberation. Is this why France is also important?
Yes, Saint Germain was active in France, and also certain other people, certain other groups, which are quite important. And Paris in France is a very important trigger point, which might accelerate things when the time is right.
Okay. And what can you tell us about the Queen of England? It appears she's quite weak and perhaps has died. Ben Fulford recently made it appear that the Queen is a good guy. So what is happening there with the Queen of England? And because the British royal family appears to be in transition. So can you talk about this at all?
Okay, I would say there have been certain negotiations and certain changes happening between different factions of the Cabal. And the Jesuit faction wants depopulation of the earth, and the Rothschilds are more inclined towards the Great Reset, Klaus Schwab type of Great Reset. You will own nothing, you'll be happy. more like a techno-feudalism type of society without mass exterminations. And the Rothschilds therefore see themselves as the good guys, and the Queen of England is very much connected with the Rothschilds, and she sees herself as a good person actually, because she's against the depopulation of the earth. Of course, we will not agree with her assessment of the situation. And there has been quite much of a propaganda from the Rothschilds in the last week or so about this. And of course, I would take this with a grain of salt. This is not exactly the type of future we want to manifest. We are speaking about real life and real galactic society. We are not speaking about their type of techno-feudalist dystopian society they want to create.
Mm-hmm. Is one side or the other stronger? You know, one side you said was looking for depopulation, and the other side is looking for more of almost like a communist socialist society.
Well, it's about half right now.
Okay.
But this can change. This is the situation right at this moment, but this can change.
Yes. Well, we want both of them to go away, so that's the change we're looking for.
Both of them will go away.
Yes. Would you elaborate on what would be important to share regarding the Ghislaine Maxwell trial and its significance at this point?
Yes, actually, that is a very good opportunity for certain things to come into mainstream media, and probably some of them will come in the mainstream media. It will be reported, and there will be a lot of talk about. This is a good potential for the next step of disclosure or exposure of what's happening behind the scenes in the cabal. And this can serve as another trigger for awakening for people to see what is really going on this planet.
So you're saying that the cabal media will actually report some truth?
They will be forced to, because it will be everywhere. I mean, there are enough journalists, there is enough awareness right now that this cannot be swept under the rug, it cannot be hidden anymore.
Okay, good. What about Elon Musk? I mean, he's gone back and forth between working for the light, working for the dark. What is the Starlink connected to?
Starlink, it's actually not a good idea. It has been used by the Chimera to reinforce the quarantine. Elon Musk is sometimes simply too naive. He has certain good ideas, but he is easily manipulated. He doesn't have bad intentions at his core, but he has been manipulated, and certain decisions that he made were not exactly very bright.
Thank you for sharing that. What about 5G technology? Should we be concerned about that anymore at this point?
I mean, it is, of course, it's not the healthiest and the best, but I would not be overly concerned at this point. I would be more concerned about the things I was talking about the common sense, about cooperation, about manifesting in the world. This is something that people need to focus upon.
Okay, good point. And you've mentioned cyber attacks before as being a good possibility in our future. Are those still on the agenda, or are they a concern?
Yes, they are still on the agenda of the Dark Forces. They have plans to manifest this, but the Light Forces are working against this as well, so we will see.
Okay. Let's talk about the Congo vortex. Is that still the master key for the energy grid around the planet? And what's the status of it?
It is one of the master keys. It has been partially damaged again. The Light Forces are working on it, but it's actually not in excellent condition. It is not. So there needs to be some healing work done on this vortex.
Okay. Are there places in the world where negative entities and elites take refuge to gather? And we ask this because we would like to know where to make Buddhic columns to help the light forces cleanse energetically.
Well, there are locations around the world where there is a tendency for the entities to gather. I would not specify those locations because this is not for the mass of humanity right now to focus upon. At some point, if people would like to clear this with Buddhic columns, people can contact me, or the key persons can contact me, and I can give some of those locations to be cleared. But this is not to be shared with the public right now.
Yes, thank you. And I was just going to ask you if we could contact you directly to find out So thank you. So the insanity of the current agenda is helping people to wake up, but it's happening at a slow rate considering the circumstances and dangers that are around us. We know that waking people up helps to bring planetary liberation sooner, and many of us are doing our best, but we are labeled crazy, conspiracy theorists when we try to explain about the war that we're in. How can we best open the eyes of others to what is going on in the world?
You cannot. You cannot open the eyes of others. They need to do this from themselves, and you will be labeled conspiracy theorists if you will try to open the eye of another person who is not ready for it. So I would say you can share this, but share it only with those who are ready. You don't force this upon anybody because many are simply not ready.
Because people get frustrated, and I feel like what you're telling us is it's most important to really keep our own vibration high and find our own joy in whatever way works for us.
Yeah, people will, if you are really successful in this, you have a different vibration that you're somehow how different. They will go to you with their questions, and then you can explain to them what's going on.
Okay. And I'd like to move on to talking about the event in Ascension. What are some of the signs that we're getting close to the event? Are we starting to see them now?
Not yet. As I said, this will be very much visible few weeks before the event, not before.
Okay. And I have to just do this right away, too, because this is one question that everybody's wondering. Big question here. Are you able to share with us an updated Ascension plan?
Okay, I will be able to share that when I will be able to share that, and not before.
Okay. The time frame, are we talking after the solstice meditation, or
I'm not saying anything. Whenever they give the green light, they will give the green light, and when they give the green light, I will share it, not before.
Okay. Can you at least tell us, since it's almost 2022 and the event has not yet happened, does the Ascension window still close in July of 2025?
Actually, it closed in August 2025, but yet this is the time when the portal closes.
Okay. So we do know that things need to happen before that. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. So light workers have had to endure much suffering while being here in 3D, often being denied financial resources, healthy bodies, ideal relationships, and many of the joys of living life of freedom here on Earth. And we know that all of that will change for us after the event, but will there be time after the event to enjoy our new 3D world before ascending into 5D? In the original Ascension plan you gave us, you said it was about 1 to 2 years between the breakthrough and the start of the first wave. So people are wondering, will we be able to enjoy the benefits that the event brings while we are still here in 3D Earth?
The plan is that everybody will be able to enjoy enough time in physical reality before the Ascension to integrate whatever they need to integrate. I will not give any timing right now for obvious reasons, but I would say that it's part of the growth process for everybody to have a joyful physical life for a certain amount of time that is necessary before the Ascension.
Yeah, because people feel like they've waited a long time for some of these joys to come to them. So as we understand it, we will ascend in our physical bodies. So does that mean once we have ascended into 5D that we will still be able to enjoy physical type things such as eating a fine meal, doing our favorite hobbies, dancing, lovemaking?
All that happen before the Ascension. When the Ascension happens, you will have all that integrated. You will have no more need for that, and you will have no more need for the physical body. You will be able to manifest a hologram of the physical body, but it will not be a real physical body. You will not be an incarnation anymore because you will not need that anymore. Okay.
So you're saying once ascended, a lot of those things will not hold the same importance that they do now.
Exactly. We will have to accelerate the interview a little bit because maybe half an hour more, but then we'll have to finish.
Okay, sounds good. I know there's so much to talk about here. Let's see. And I know you mentioned that we will start to see, in terms of the event, there will be considerable escalation of event beforehand. So you were saying it'll be weeks. We're wondering, is it weeks, days?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And will light workers have a sense telepathically or directly before the event happens?
Oh, yes, definitely. There will be people having visions, dreams, revelations, telepathic communication, all that will increase drastically before the event.
Okay, very good. Can you clarify if it's source that triggers the event or is it the light forces?
The initial pulse comes directly from the event and then it filters down through the dimensions, through the light forces, until it reaches the surface of the planet.
Okay. So you're saying it's triggered initially by source?
Yes.
Okay, that's what we thought. And so with all of the negative technology that's being used against light workers, we see that the work that we've been doing on ourselves over the years is being hindered. Will we benefit from all of this work that we're doing after the event?
Yes, of course, definitely.
Okay. What will be the concrete fruit of this persistent light work?
Okay, first, you will be among the first who will have the opportunity to ascend. You will have much more possibilities than anybody else, because people will need to go through their healing process, and those who have done their healing process already will have much less to go through. They will be enjoying their life when the rest of the people will be processing their suppressed emotions quite intensely. Okay. Everybody will have to go through this process. There is no avoidance. I mean, everybody will have to face their fears, their guilt, their suppressed anger, all missed opportunities, all mistakes they've made. They will have to deal with all that.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Do you see us being able to travel the world easily, as well as traveling to other planets after the event?
After the event, things will begin to open. Of course, it's a process because it will have to go through a distribution chain on the surface. New options will open and they will accelerate, but it will still take some time to reach that state where everybody will be able to go everywhere.
Okay. And what about islands of light? Are they still part of the future after the event? And
yes,
is it only
yes.
Okay? Is it only light workers or high vibrational humans who can live in an island of light?
Only beings who are in a vibration that is compatible with that. People who will be able to live in soul families. This is for very advanced people, I would say.
So, will the people that we're with, will they be part of our soul family?
People will be with their soul families, yes.
Okay.
Islands of light.
Okay. Will we get to choose where we live?
Of course.
Yeah, I figured that. Let's talk about soul families a little bit, since everyone is missing each other for so long. Are soul families starting to meet each other now, even before the event?
Not really. I mean, right now conditions are very unfavorable for meeting of the soul families with all those lockdowns and mandates and the state of affairs on the surface of the planet. For soul families to meet, people need to have enough soul consciousness, enough higher consciousness for this to manifest, which is clearly not happening right now.
So as of right now, there's really no safe way to do it.
I mean, it can happen to a limited degree, but it's not the best moment. It's not the right. I mean, it's simply not happening right now. Massively.
Someone suggested that you create a conference where we could all meet each other. Yeah. That'll be the big post-event party, right? You've given 3 soul family categories: twin souls, soulmates, and the friendship network. Can you explain more about these categories, and how do we know which category of soul family is relevant to us when we experience it?
Oh, you will know. I mean, if you meet your soulmate, you will definitely feel a very strong energy. And when you're ready to meet your twin soul, you will definitely know, because you will not meet your twin soul before you are clear enough that to have such a complete guidance, they will definitely know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It will be very clear. You will have no need for any external confirmation at that point. You will simply know.
Yeah, there's been a lot of questions about the twin souls. You know, the dark forces have done a great job in keeping twin souls apart. But with them losing control, is this situation improving? Is there a likelihood that someone could meet their twin soul before the event, or at least a soulmate who carries the twin soul energy?
As I said before, it is theoretically possible, but it's not happening a lot. It will happen more when we get very close to the event.
Okay. And what about the twin souls who are off planet or below the surface? Will they have to wait until after the event to meet?
Yes, after the event, those meetings will start and will accelerate as the situation improves.
Okay. The light forces work to help us meet a twin soul, or at this point, or will they in the future? I'm sure they can in the future, but what about now?
Right now, it's simply not yet time. As I said, it's not safe. The Kabbalah is too strong, and it's the same as with the first contact. Usually, it would not. Usually, it would not go well if such meetings would happen right now. The dark ones could simply kill one of the or both of them. I mean, it's not safe. Thinking.
Okay. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about healing and protection. So back in 2012, you wrote, the ongoing process of compression means that the light will expose everything that is hidden collectively and individually. When light from above and light from below meet right on the surface of the planet, this is the moment of compression breakthrough. That occurrence is called the event. So, Cobra, a lot of people are feeling like a suffocating exhaustion. Is this the compression part of that compression breakthrough?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Kind of like the boiling point that we talked about earlier. Yes.
It is also dark technologies being cleared, but this pressure which is felt is actually light squeezing out all the darkness.
Okay. That makes sense. And so, many light workers are feeling attacked with the dark ones lashing out, using very creative ways sometimes. Is it easy to assume that every negative situation is an attack? And how do we know if it is a psychic attack?
Not every situation is a negative attack, but many of them are. You will simply need to use your guidance and your discernment.
Okay. And to use the protocols that you've recommended?
Yes.
Okay. It's been said that the light forces can read our thoughts and emotions, but that the dark ones cannot and only get information by what they can see through our eyes and hear through our ears. So we're wondering if it's true, and if you could explain how the dark are able to create suffering and havoc in our lives, and if there's anything we can do to block their access to our thoughts and emotions.
Simply, when you vibrate highly enough, you will be beyond their reach, and it will not be so easy for them to contact you.
Excellent. And it seems like many light workers are being attacked from people around them. Can we or should we try to clear our loved ones of negative entity attachment?
If they request it, if they agree, yes. Otherwise, no. If there is an emergency.
And what did you say? If they are what?
They need to agree with this.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Do you need to have their knowledge or permission?
Okay. The only exception if there is an emergency, if they're in danger, of course you can help them without asking for permission.
I see. How long does the clearing last? And what can bring it back? I know probably, addictions and things like that people
Well, it depends how good you are in the clearing process. It depends what you do. So it's not possible to give one unified answer to this.
Okay. Does it help if we claim our true power back?
Of course.
And does connecting to the I am presence, is that a really good way to do that?
Yes, of course.
Okay. How can light workers discern false light in the spiritual community? Are there any tips for us to know if the channeling or message is real?
Yes, use common sense.
Okay. And some people claim that using psilocybin and other natural hallucinogenic plant medicine to access other dimensions exponentially increases their spiritual growth. How do you feel about this? Are these safe?
Well, as much as I was interacting with who were taking those, some of them had genuine experiences, but most of them were just channeling the astral plane. So my general impression is that most of those experiences are not really happening in the world. Of course, there are exceptions. There are people who have done this correctly with people who were shaman, who were experienced, and who gave the right guidance. But in most cases, that was simply not true.
Okay, so done very, very mindfully, I think.
Yes.
There seems to be an increase in deaths lately. So we're wondering, are these souls who will be unable to withstand the powerful energies of the event solar flash? Or are they just simply choosing not to be here at this time? Why are we seeing more deaths?
Many people are just tired and wish to opt out and are leaving.
Okay.
So on a soul level, it's a decision to leave the body. It's happening quite much.
Okay. Are the conditions better now on this astral plane for someone who does die? Are souls able to avoid the reincarnation trap, or does that depend on their vibration at the time of their transition?
The conditions are somewhat better, but it's still not safe. So many are able to avoid the threat, and many are not. It depends on their overall vibration, not just at the time of a transition, but in their life in general, and their decision what they want to do when they die, where they want to go.
Okay, so it really is up to that person?
Yes. I mean, not completely. Of course, there are external factors. There are still dark network that wants to capture them, but many are able to escape.
Okay. What happens to people and starseeds, who leave the physical plane before the event in Ascension? If they're not in a physical body, will they still be able to ascend?
Yes.
Good. And are we able to protect ourselves and deflect scalar attacks by wearing items like crystals or gold and silver, or ingesting things like colloidal gold or silver or ormus?
For example, there are some Tachyon technologies that can help repelling those scalar attacks, and there are some other technologies that are also quite effective. And Sintamani stones, of course, help with your vibrational frequency quite much.
Well, and that was what I was just about to ask you, was the Sintamani stones. What makes them the highest vibrational stone?
They came from Sirius star system, and Sirius star system is one of the brightest spots in the whole galaxy. It's a pure light energy, and those stones are pure light.
So with them being clear light, some people are confused because it's suggested that we do not wear them during times of emotional distress, because that effect could seep into the planetary energy field.
Yeah, they act as magnifying lens, and if we emit that negative energy, they can, magnify that and put it in the network. So it's really a special stone.
Okay, so it's still guided that we not have it on us when we're if
you're really strongly distressed, I would say put it down for a few moments. I would not be overly concerned with this, but if you're really highly distressed, then better just to put it down. Yeah.
Why do so few people know about these stones? It seems like even within the spiritual community, people are unaware.
Yeah, this is what you need to ask them. Don't ask me.
Exactly. Well, we're getting the word out. So, and we know that these will play an important time of the event, and that's why we're trying to get more stones out there. Can you speak a little bit about the effect that it will have with us, wearing them, planting them, that kind of thing?
Okay, each Sintamani stone that is planted in the grid, there is an angelic being that attaches to and anchors to that stone. So we're actually helping to anchor a huge number of angelic beings in the energy grid of the planet. And of course, that is very much needed, and this is very effective.
And what about when we wear them?
Then we're inviting those angelic beings to assist us in our evolution.
Wonderful. And of course, people can find out about the Sintamani stones on your website. I have some questions from Tachyon chamber owners. There's now about 73 chambers around the world for public use. And people are wondering if these can help stop the virus or correct problems caused by the injections.
Okay, they will not stop the virus, but they will harmonize your body to better deal with the virus or to deal with anything.
Okay. And they're often asked, what's the difference between Tachyon chambers and medbeds?
That's a completely different technology. Tachyon chambers are infusing our bodies with tachyons, whereas the medbeds are actually, it's actually a technology which rearranges the atomic structure of the physical body. And it's quite an advanced technology that is not yet present on the surface of the planet and will not be present before the event, no matter what anybody else says.
Okay. That was my question. Would we have access to these before the event? Many people are talking about them. So, okay. And the Tachyon chambers, they are currently available now. And
Yes,
can you
yes.
share with us how they can help people now? You once said that as the vibration of Gaia increases, the impact of the chambers increases as well. So would you elaborate on how the chambers assist with implant clearing and the ascension process?
Actually, tachyon chambers bring tachyon energy into your energy field, and then your energy field spontaneously rearranges with the energy of the source because tachyons are coming directly from the source. And this is the shortest possible shortcut towards the ascension. And of course, as your energy field rearranges and realigns with full alignment with the divine archetype, your physical body reacts also, and you bring your physical body in a state of greater health. So that's the main principle. And as the energies get stronger, as we get closer to the event, the effect of those chambers will only increase.
Wonderful. And of course, people can find out about the chambers on your website as well. And I will personally testify that they are fabulous. So I would encourage everyone to find one in their area or make an effort to go to one. Okay, Cobra, a couple more minutes. In the last part, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about the goddess and Sisterhood of the Rose. And it was exciting to read a recent update when you wrote that increased galactic central sun activity has also resulted in a new inflow of goddess energy toward the planet. Isis got her crown back. Now, you had also posted Isis got her crown back in 2012, and then in an interview in 2017, when asked what this means, you explained it is a symbolic code for the embodiment of the goddess on the surface of this planet, especially and in the solar system, because the goddess present has been suppressed, and so symbolically, goddess Isis gets her crown back means that the goddess present will be empowered back again, and the true, real feminine principle will begin to flow freely, energetically, and physically throughout the surface of the planet. So, Cobra, if this already happened 9 years ago, what is the relevance right now? What's the difference between your recent message and the same message in 2012?
Okay, goddess energy comes towards this planet in waves. One of those waves was in 2012, and then there were a few waves after that, and now another wave of goddess energy hit the planet in October of this year. And this wave was very important because it has rearranged certain things behind the scenes, which I will not yet talk about, but they are quite important. I would say the balance of power at the top of the black nobility families have changed. Certain plans of the light forces have changed, have been accelerated, and certain things are looking much better than they did before. This was completely unexpected. I was not expecting this wave to hit, and it did. And it was a pleasant surprise. And now this is increasing and is preparing foundation for some certain things next year that are being planned by the light forces.
Excellent, excellent. That's fantastic news. In 2018, the Galactic Federation Forces of Light had decreed the surface of this planet to be turned into Confederation domain according to the Galactic Codex. If we combine the statement with the code Isis got her crown back, does this mean that Goddess Isis will personally reign over the surface as Earth Queen?
Okay, this is a very sensitive issue. I would say that the light forces got certain mandate, certain legal conditions have been fulfilled for certain actions that will lead towards the defeat of the cabal, towards the defeat of the leading black nobility families. This is as much as I can say right now.
Okay, thank you. Is it possible that Isis or the Galactic Central Sun or source itself is carnated on the planet now?
No.
Okay. Is there currently a high priestess?
No.
Okay. What if someone's interested in learning about the mysteries of Isis? Is there a way to become a student?
People are learning in their own way. There is no goddess mystery school present on the surface of the planet yet. The situation is not yet ready, but there are fragments of true mysteries here and there. I had a few workshops that were quite powerful 2 years ago when I have revealed a great deal of this, and there are probably notes somewhere floating somewhere over the internet. And you can you can get those and learn from there. But this is not the whole story. There's much more to it.
Okay. I'd like to ask you a little bit about goddess vortexes. What about God vortexes? It said that the vortexes are categorized as feminine when the energy enters the earth and masculine when the energy leaves the earth. Are both equally important and they work together?
Yes, both are equally important, but there has been such a big disbalance created at first. The goddess vortexes need to be activated, and only when this network is stable enough will the God vortexes be activated again, because God vortexes are very powerful. And when there is still great possibility that this power will be misused, they cannot be activated. It's not safe.
Okay. The double Paris-Versailles vortex is being prepared for a new level activity this month.
Yes.
Can you share more? How can we support this?
No, not yet.
Okay. We look forward to hearing about that. A couple questions about the Meraphor, am I saying that right? Priestesses?
Mm-hmm.
In your recent update, these goddesses were practicing in the ancient temples of Egypt to bring myrrh to those who are approaching death. Such a return of these priestesses mean that they will come to the surface as a trained spiritual group? And will members of the Sisterhood be initiated as these priestesses?
Okay. It doesn't mean a return of the priestesses from below the surface, not yet, but fragments of this knowledge are coming back to the surface of creation again. And it's not just about mirth and those who are approaching that. It's a whole science, a whole teaching of how to use sacred oils for different purposes to raise the vibration, to activate certain chakras, to activate certain higher facilities. It's a lot more to this, and this is slowly being revealed to the surface population.
I was just about to, ask you what other oils are powerful and useful to know about. And we're wondering if these oils penetrate layers of our dimensions, such as the plasma or etheric layer.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can.
Okay.
Yes.
And are there other oils that you can share right now?
There are quite a few that are quite important. One of them is, of course, the rose oil, the sandalwood oil, and many others. Most of them were used in ancient temples in Egypt, in Greece, in India, in ancient cultures. They knew about them, and they are waiting to be rediscovered.
Wonderful. Okay. A couple more questions, Cobra. There are light workers who work diligently to keep their energy fields clean and have abstained from sexual relations due to not being able to find a high vibration partner because they're aware of the fact that dark entities can infiltrate and harness sexual energy. But this is also causing many women to cut off the much needed sensual and sexual energy of the goddess within themselves. And so one sister asks, if a woman feels a desire to unite with someone, but the man is very unconscious, will this put bad energy into the field? So, Cobra, what do you suggest? Is energetic protection needed? Are the energies being cleared more? Is it getting safer to allow more sexual expressions of ourselves? Or is it still best to abstain?
If it's done with the right intention, there is nothing wrong with it. It does not mean that the entities need to come into you if you're doing it from the right intention. If you're doing it, if there is a connection between you and this other person, no matter what his vibrational frequency is, the act itself will determine what will happen, how the energies will exchange. So I would not be overly worried about those entities if you're doing it for the right purpose. As with anything else in your life, the entities can jump on you while you're having breakfast, for example, if you're in a bad mood or if you're angry, fighting with somebody.
Good point. The fact that this union involves two people, do both people have to have that intention, or is it okay if just one of the partners do?
Well, there needs to be a certain agreement, at least to a certain degree, about the intention. Otherwise, it will not be a pleasant act. That's obvious.
Okay.
I'm not speaking about they don't need to be exactly the same level of consciousness. It does not need to be perfect, but there needs to be some basic understanding, basic unification of purpose why this is happening, and then it should be okay.
Okay.
And of course, you can use the virus, and you can use basic protection techniques. That's also helpful sometimes.
I see. Understood. Okay. She also asks, can the man be healed with the goddess energy this way? Is it something similar to what the sacred prostitutes did? And can you tell something about them or give some advice on how to be one? And what is the importance to live our sensuality?
Yes, of course, a man can be healed with the goddess energy if he's receptive to it this way. And of course, a woman can do that if she's so guided. And if she follows that path, she can ask for guidance and she will receive guidance in many different ways.
Okay. And of course, it is important to live our sensuality, but healthy sexual energy and expression seem to be a missing link in our world. How can we learn more about this?
Again, you need to learn more about your own sexual energy, about your own Kundalini energy, explore it in a way that feels okay with you. Use your own inner guidance. Do not look so much to external sources because most of the external sources have been compromised. You need to unlearn whatever you have learned and just explore inside. Inside of your energy field, inside of your body first, and then you will know what I'm talking about.
Thank you. A couple quick questions about twin souls. We talked about before, but wondering what we can do to attract more. There's the Real Mass Meditation put out a guided audio for the twin soul meditation. So that's good to do, but what else can we do?
That's actually a very good meditation. It was given to humanity by the light forces, and it's a very good meditation if you do that. This is almost the best thing you can do at this point.
Okay, fantastic. We do these sometimes in our implant clearing sessions. We do that meditation. But people do ask why in the meditation the twin soul is referred to as a her. And I had asked you about this, and you said that the soul Buddha is the feminine aspect, and then spirit Atma is the masculine aspect. So twin soul is her. Could you elaborate more so that people can fully understand this? Because they still had questions after I had told them that.
Okay, the level, the dimension where the soul resides is a feminine energy. So that's why we address soul as her. It's very simple.
Okay, thank you. And is sacred union between a man and woman part of the goddess mysteries?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, that's what we thought. And will the full knowledge and secrets of these mystery schools be revealed after the event? Yes. And will Sisterhood of the Rose groups play an important role in reactivating these?
Definitely, very much.
What direction do you see for Sisterhood of the Rose groups in 2022? Do you have a message for them?
Yes, it will be good for all those groups that are still existing to reunite, empower, meet more, because some of them are in various stages of decomposition. It's time for them to reunite again, to renew connections again. The pandemic has, and all those lockdowns have reduced the number of physical meetings. Perhaps you can reinstate physical meetings again, which is quite important to hold the energy. You can study all those new teachings about the Mirror 4 priestesses. You can connect with Goddess Isis, especially because her energy is coming back big time in the year 2022.
Oh, excellent. Good to know. And I'd like to just share that the Sister of the Rose has something planned for 2022 to provide weekly meditations for the goddess meditation. So keep our eyes open for that. And Cobra, as we close this interview, we would like to know, what do you see ahead for all of humanity in 2022, and what message do you have for us?
Okay, this now is a very complex time. It has never been so complex. So it is one of the times where it's almost impossible to predict how things will turn out. It's a time of a great tension, and at the same time of a huge potential. So the more we unite, the more we focus upon what we want to manifest, the more we are manifesting this, as we're doing in this meditation. We can keep manifesting this, and it can ensure our success. It can bring our success much closer.
Wonderful.
So, the message will simply be victory of the light. This is what we are here for, and this is what we will get. No matter what it takes.
Absolutely. And of course, our meditation on December 21st will have a big impact, as well as signing that petition. So please check out Cobra's website at 2012portal.blogspot.com. along with WeLoveMassMeditation.com for information on all of that, and share the word, spread the word. Let's surpass critical mass on this. Follow Cobra's blog for intel on the greatest event to ever reach our planet, or our planet, our galaxy, our universe. As we go through these times, I would like to thank all the Sisterhood of the Rose and my Victory of the Light team for assisting with contributing to the questions. We do encourage people to check out Sisterhood of the Rose, forming a group in your area, find out what we do, and our website is sisterhoodoftherose.network. Once again, Cobra, we thank you so much. We appreciate all of the intel, all of the hard work that you're doing. We know this isn't easy for anyone, but we are supporting you. We love you, and we say Victory of the Light. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, and Victory of the Light.